Hello friends, this video on combustion and flame part 7 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now knowing this concept of auto ignition temperature and flash point, we will see that how water helps to control fires. Have you ever seen that if a building catches fire or if a shop catches fire, what happens? People call fire brigade, and what do? They try to put off the fire using water. Now, why water helps to extinguish fire, and what is that property in water which helps to get away with fires? Now, water cools the combustible substance. Now, we saw that there are three criteria of combustion, right? What were the three criteria? The first criteria was a fuel or a combustible substance. The second criteria was the presence of air or oxygen, and the third criteria was the presence of heat, so that the substance can reach its ignition temperature and can catch fire. Now, if we want to put off the fire, so let's say something has already caught fire, but now we do not want that fire. So how do we put off that fire? If any of these criteria is not fulfilled, there will be no combustion, so there will be no fire. Now, what does water do? Water is quite cold, and therefore whenever you put water into over a hot substance, it reduces the overall temperature of that substance. So basically, instead of providing heat, you are actually making the substance more cold. So you are reducing the temperature of the combustible substance. Now when you reduce the temperature, so what happens? Again, the substance temperature comes below the ignition temperature. So below the ignition temperature, a substance cannot catch fire, and that is why the fire it doesn't catch fire again, and that's how the fire stops. Because what is fire? Fire is nothing but a result of reaction of the substance with oxygen, right? So right now the substance is still in contact with oxygen, but it is not able to release enough energy because it has not reached its ignition temperature. So that is how the fire is put off. So because the temperature falls below the ignition temperature, so using water, this criteria is not fulfilled, and that is why there is no fire. And that is how the concept of water as a fire extinguisher works. Now, water cannot be used as a fire extinguisher in all the scenarios. For example, if you take example of spaces where there are a lot of electrical equipments or electrical wires, for example, in office spaces where you have a lot of computers, lot of machinery, factories or industries where there are a lot of electrical equipments involved, water is not a good choice as fire extinguisher. Can you tell why? Because when I am talking about water, I am not talking about pure distilled water. I am talking about normal water, which contains dissolved mineral salts, etc. in it. So this water is a good conductor of electricity. So normal water. So when I say water is a good conductor of electricity, I mean not pure water. And the normal which we use in our day-to-day life, that is not distilled water. So this water is a good conductor of electricity. Now, since it is a good conductor, so what happens is when you put water on electrical equipments which has caught fire, so the chances of getting electric shock is very high, because water will also start conducting the electricity, the electric current which might be present on those electrical wires or the electrical equipments. Therefore, water is not at all a good choice to be used as fire extinguisher in fire involving electrical equipments. So which is alternative choice? The alternative choice is carbon dioxide. Now what special is there in carbon dioxide that it can control fire? Because carbon dioxide cannot act as a cooling agent, but it can do something else. So what carbon dioxide actually does is it acts as a blanket over the substance which has caught fire. Now this fire, as I again said, there are three criteria. correct? The first criteria for combustion is fuel, second criteria is oxygen or air, and third criteria is heat. Now water acts as a fire extinguisher because it attacks the third criteria, but carbon dioxide attacks the second criteria. Now because carbon dioxide is a gas and oxygen is also a gas, this carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen. So carbon dioxide is heavier when compared to oxygen. Now since it is heavier, so it settles down. So as a result, what happens is carbon dioxide acts as a blanket surrounding this entire substance. So let us suppose this is a wire. Just an example, this brown colored line which you see, that is a wire and it has caught fire. So over this wire with fire, the carbon dioxide will act as a blanket. So here you will have the carbon dioxide blanket. And where is oxygen? Oxygen is present in the surroundings, so maybe oxygen is present here. Now basically if you see, due to the presence of this blanket of carbon dioxide, the contact between oxygen and the substance, this is the substance. So the contact between oxygen and the substance is being cut due to the presence of carbon dioxide in between. Now since the supply of oxygen is cut, therefore there is no oxygen supply, so there is no combustion, so there is no fire. So that is how carbon dioxide acts as a fire extinguisher. Now how do we actually, for example, in case of water, we just bring water maybe in buckets or in pipes and we try to extinguish fire. But how do we do it with carbon dioxide? So carbon dioxide is present in liquid form in fire extinguishers. If you look in your office spaces, you will see the red colored fire extinguisher boxes. Inside that you have carbon dioxide in liquid form, and when it is released, it neutralizes the oxygen that is actually causing the fire. So another advantage of using carbon dioxide as fire extinguisher is that fires do not recur immediately because of lack of oxygen, because all the oxygen is being sent out by carbon dioxide. So it actually neutralizes with the oxygen. So there is no more oxygen surrounding the substances, and as a result there is no fire. In fact, the carbon dioxide which is directly released from the extinguishers, that is also at ice cold temperature, so it is extremely cold. So there are certain precautions which need to be followed while applying carbon dioxide on in office spaces which have got fires. So what we learned is we can control fires either by using water or by using carbon dioxide. But the basic concept of controlling fire is that one of the three criteria needed for combustion needs to be limited. That is, one of those criteria need to be falsified, and then combustion cannot happen, so there will be no fire. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.